in a bad mood. So you guys are in deep shit tonight. I just want to let you know that. No, I'm not in a bad mood. I have a French bulldog. How can you be in a bad mood? Come on. But I will tell you, we've been in baseball just as long as we've been in football. And the only reason I say that is you have somebody like Cole Hamels who moves from the Texas Rangers, has a extension if they're going to bring him. We go to Chicago. He goes to Chicago. They pick up his extension, and the guy's in his 30s throwing 92 miles an hour again. So no matter what position you are, let's talk power since we're on with the New York Power Team. So thank you very much for making that invite. I told you guys I grew up back east, so I'm East Coast by heart. I live on the West Coast, I think, because I just got tired of shoveling snow, and I was the only brother who could find himself out there doing it. But I will tell you, when you talk about power, this is strength, right? If we go bench press, this is strength. We do this is strength. Power is strength times speed. So, and I'm not just doing a play on words here. You are the NLP experts. This is really defined as strength times speed equals power. So when you talk about going for a walk, playing golf, getting off the toilet, going for a bike ride, climbing a tree, getting on a swing at the park, all of those require a certain amount of coordination and balance. No matter how strong you want to be, no matter how many calories you want to burn, are you burning them the right way? So I just did a talk with, I think it's a bunch of people out of New York too. They're doing a thing called Walk to Israel. So it's a shitload of Jewish people, and somehow the Catholic got underneath the tent and started speaking. So I got in there and I started BSing with them, and I said, I don't know how the heathen got in here, guys. You're the chosen people. I'm just a Catholic. I was playing the room, and they seemed to be chuckling at the stupid humor, which is good. But what I did with them today is I tried to take them down a compelling future of, you're doing this walk for the betterment of your people, correct? Yes. Are you present when you walk? Are you deliberately walking? Meaning, are you concentrating on where's my heel striking? Where's my toe off going? Or do I have earbuds in and I'm not paying any attention to anything around me, nor am I paying attention to anything inside me? So I can understand putting earbuds on if you're tired of listening to the city or something like that. But those of you that don't live in the city, and I know the city sometimes is a ghost town right now, so I'm sorry about that. But you look at New York in general, and I grew up in Pennsylvania, you've been to New Jersey, but the countryside is unbelievably beautiful. Our job is to get you into a beautiful state with your body so that your mind and spirit and heart can follow that. And I'm not just saying, hey, go learn a new skill and then do it. It's allow your body to support the training that you're doing. So somebody on here earlier said, I'm doing NLP training. For example, let me just change the view here. So I had, who did we have on there? Was it Trisha? Who did the NLP?
Yeah, Trisha and Allison, I think, as well.
Okay. Well, whoever just, oh no, okay, there it is. There she is. Okay, so you did the NLP stuff. What are you expecting to get out of it?
I want to become a stronger communicator.
Not going to happen.
That's your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion.
But what I'm saying is, it's not going to happen at the level that you want if your body's approaching every day, kind of rotated, shoulders a little rounded, head up here like this, pelvis in the wrong place. What I'm telling you is the physical anchor for all of this stuff that you want to get 110% out of. Once you change the position that you're standing in, once you change the balance that you take to that day, like the closed eye balance test, where is it at, left to right, front to rear, that we've done on the UPWs and all the other stuff. I'm not just trying to buy time because, Robbins wants to take time away from me. Like, we need another minute. Can you go on for 4 minutes? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do 4. I got to give you as many tools as possible. And what we're going to do today, especially in an intimate group like this is great. A little bit easier than 23,000 2-3 weeks ago. So I can get you to try to do some things on the ground. We can talk about abdominal training. We can talk about caloric expenditure, because in my opinion, this is just Egoscue's opinion, caloric expenditure and the way your body moves lymphatic fluid are two different things. So how many people in here have tried to lose weight before? Get your hands up. Let's go. Well, we all know that the psychological side of that is, why am I trying to lose weight? If I'm doing it for me, God bless you. If you're doing it because of other people, that's an external. The first one's a way healthier place to go. Okay, great. In the science books, I can pull them out for you right now and say, it is impossible to spot reduce fat. Like, I can't do this with my arm to try to burn fat in my arm. What you can do is getting your shoulder in the right place and moving your arm the way that it should, from the little toes here, the fingers, just like your toes on the ground, to the wrist, which would be the ankle, to the elbow, which would be the knee, to the shoulder, which would be the hip. The extremities are the same. Once we can get you to do a little bit of work to get a change out of the position of those bones, you will automatically start hitting the ground differently. So remember what I said, go for a walk and make it deliberate. Am I hitting my heel strike, my toe off correctly? And if not, I don't want you just going, let me change it. How about we stop and do a couple exercises to allow me to change it? So how many people have done marathons in here? I'm only raising my hand so you feel comfortable to do it. You know how that is. But here's me. No, I've never run a marathon. I think it's easier to drive it. It's much easier in a car. So that's where you'll find me doing 26 plus miles. But at the 18 mile, you run into the wall. Is that correct, Joseph?
Absolutely. 18, I did it at the 13 mile, particularly because I stopped, made a stupid mistake. I stopped for a little bit. But at the 18 mile, I hit another wall. I collapsed on the Madison Avenue Bridge.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Was that what you were going for or no?
No, not at all.
Okay, but it happened.
It happened.
What if at the 18 mile point, I had a tent set up that said, here comes the wall, avoid the wall. And you walk through and you did 2 functional moves, which we'll do here in a little bit, which then gave you the ability to finish out the next 8 miles faster than what you would have done before, when you think you should have been trickling down in time. Your body should have been like, oh, this is gonna be a 14-minute mile, versus no, you're gonna steady state at 8.5 to 10 if that's what your pace was. So we want you to get stronger in the 4th quarter, like our pro football teams do, because you're training your body to sustain the work that it takes to be in the 4th quarter and not fatigue. So I call it the wall is at 18, but we need to knock down the wall by just doing 2 or 3 simple things. And because your heart rate's already going to be up, when you stop to do these 3 things, you're going to still steady state in that heart rate doing, 100 arm circles each way, standing pigeon-toed, and then 50 elbow curls. And then I just push you out the tent and go, now go finish strong. Remember, arm swing creates leg speed. So I don't want this to be just a discussion about, well, Brian's the posture guy, that's all we do. That's going to be the foundation for this. But I'd like to open it up to some questions that you guys have before we start moving. What do you want to talk about? And it's not going to be like, do you want to talk about world peace or, all that kind of stuff. I'm way too underqualified for that. But what do you guys want to talk about as it relates to your bodies?
I want to invite, so we have people on Facebook watching this. If you want to participate on Zoom, go to getmomentum.live and you can actually interact. And I'll do my best to capture what I can on Facebook. If you join us in Zoom, you can actually interact with Brian, and this will be a nice, amazing workshop for you this Tuesday evening. So let's go to the chat. So anyone have any specifics you have that you want to work on? So please put it into the Zoom chat.
Put in the chat, or you can unmute yourself, or just raise your hand if you're on video with us. So, I'll just jump in while we're waiting for some other responses. So I still have issues with, let's say, my left side, my left knee, my left shoulder, my left toe. So, how do I rebalance? What are some of the best exercise for balancing left and right, up and down?
When's the last time you did that?
Couple weeks.
This is authentic art. That's why I signed it.
I love that exercise, and I do it when I remember, but I don't remember nearly enough. I should be doing that every day.
How can you not remember to lay on your back and put your legs up over your ottoman in your living room?
Yeah, I need to do it.
Like somebody needs some bulletproof coffee. I don't know. But if you really
Rubber
think about it,
band, reminder or something.
well, we get busy. We get busy. I get busy doing this all day, talking about this, blah, blah, blah. And we talked about the bike before. Those of you that have a Peloton or an indoor bike, you think, well, I'm going to sit all day, and then I'm going to get on a bike and sit all day. Nothing's changed. We got to get you to change from the sport of sitting to the sport of biking by interrupting this with something that's going to put you in more of an erect position to put you on the bike to create more power. So those of you, I remember, Frank, we were talking about the Carol bike. I spoke to the CEO and I said, this isn't about making your product better. It's about making your power production better. Give the customer the best chance not to waste his or her time, which is already so valuable, by changing the body you take to it. So I showed you guys this picture maybe before if you've been to another event. This is a 58-year-old triathlete. Thank God he had a tattoo. And that's him before and after about 12 minutes of exercises.
Wow.
Amazing.
Now, the reason I show you that is it blew me away because of his excitement. So when we talk about this, not only are we talking about living pain-free, but we're also talking about performing at another level. And you're no different than if I was looking at Justin Tuck when he played for your great New York Football Giants. I saw him during the last, 5 years of his career, because the guy was a flat-out beast, but his body was starting to trick him and not be able to keep up with his talent as one of the best defensive ends in the country. So our goal was we got to get him bigger, faster, stronger for that sport by aligning his joints. So if I can get you to realize this is the blueprint for how the body should look, then you should be able to get yourself erect like this and then bend over and touch your toes. So Frank, what does your forward bend look like to get to your toes?
So I can get, I can get to within about 3-4 inches, out of the bat now. And this is something, again, I picked up from Egoscue, because I just, made it a habit starting a couple of years ago to try and touch my toes every day, right? So I can now touch my toes, and if I hang there, I can curl my fingers underneath my toes. So I'm 56 years old.
That's because you're a third of the way through your life, so you want to end the next 2/3 with being able to do that. What's the benefit?
I thought I was only a quarter of the way through. You're shortening my expectancy.
True. What's the reason why bending over to touch your toes is such a big deal as it relates to a biomechanist looking at this saying, are they moving correctly? What's the big deal to me to say, here's a test, can you do it?
Yeah. And 3 years ago, I couldn't.
So why don't we do this? And everybody can turn their cameras off if they don't want to be seen, do whatever. Stand up, get behind your chair. Do not bend your knees. Do not bounce. Do not force this motion. So there's all your do nots, do nots, do nots. Do not picture the purple elephant. Do not do all that stuff. Don't make it hard, but I just want you to stand up and try to touch your toes. Let it hang. How far do you get down? How far do you not get down? Okay. Was anybody having some serious problems?
My calves hurt doing that, but I was able to do it.
But I was watching Jason and I was watching Darren. Both you guys got down decently low. Is that correct?
Yes.
So here's what I normally get off a group of people This will be someone that shows up like this. This guy he owns a CrossFit gym. And let me get you to this is his before and after. I only show you this because this is the rounding that I'm talking about. This reach from here versus the tilt from here, which then allows this to drop down like a waterfall. Versus here, it's going uphill, and then everything becomes a reach with your arm to get that low. And you can see how high he is off the ground versus touching his toes. And I like wow moments because the customer a lot of times needs to feel that and discover it. So I gave him an exercise called hip flexor frog abdominals, one of the two, where you're just laying on your back, and we'll go through it here in a minute. But I had him interlace his hands behind his head and pull his elbows back, and then crunch up, crunch up, crunch up, crunch up, versus what do you see with most people? And you see them doing their ab work and feeding their dysfunction. And a lot of other guys that are in my field would tell you you're actually shear forcing your low back into some serious problems. You're actually doing abdominal work, but you're creating all these shear forces at your spine rather than putting your upper back into a better position. Now that turtle shell kind of flattens out, and now you're doing it from the right place. And when you stand up, your shoulders feel like they're here without having to actually force them to go there. You know, it's uncomfortable for dudes, but for girls, I would never want them walking down the street going, okay, Brian said I need to walk like this. It's just not going to be comfortable. It's just weird. But if we could get your body to do it and straighten your spine up, then it's not your shoulders that are pulled back. It's the T-spine mixing with the lower back, creating the movement at the hip.
So we had a couple of questions here about, and this is, again, a function of the times we're living in, but improving posture after sitting for long periods of time, and then also improving posture while on a mobile phone, which, you know, and I've heard you or Pete talk about this, you know, you're in this position all day or whatever. So as I seem to spend a lot of time on my phone, also what's the best way to set up a laptop to improve posture?
Great, we'll hit them all at once. Spend the money, you cheap bastard.
I just ordered one.
Okay. They're well worth it. They do not noise cancel, meaning if I'm talking to you and I have dishes going over here, you're going to hear it. There's an earpiece called Blue Parrot, and I suggest you guys write it down if you're coaches. You guys know Tad with Tony Robbins, the guy who runs that stuff, the Platt Partners and all that stuff. It's an earpiece, and I'm not kidding. It looks like this. It looks like that without the wire. And so you have to be okay with looking like you're the order taker at Chick-fil-A. And that's okay with me, because if I'm on the phone with a Tony Robbins or you guys or a Major League Baseball coach or something, I don't want background noise. And where I found them is at a truck stop. They're called Blue Parrot 350, the 350 XT, I think is what I have. They're like $99. Best Buy has them, you can order them. And for like $14 more, you get a free replacement policy if something happens to it. And I've done it twice. They're well worth it. I don't get anything from the company. All the truckers use it who drive across country because it's comfortable, has a little pad here, and the earpiece is right here, mouthpiece. And all 95% of all background noise is canceled. Literally, I've run my Vitamix in the background and said, can you hear that? And they said, every once in a while, there's something that comes in, but I can't really hear anything. I've driven my car, which is pretty loud, right? And I have the windows down, sunroof open, and I'm talking to somebody and they said, are you at home? So it's well worth it, and it doesn't allow you to do this anymore. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about Bluetooth near the brain or anything like that, but I don't have much brain left anyway, so it doesn't matter. God's already punished me for my past, probably.
I don't know if I had enough to start, so.
Well, Frank, you were in deep shit from the beginning, so let's just. So those of you listening, that's
the website in there for everybody, blueparrot.com. It's parrot with 2 T's, so you can find that.
Yep. Secondly, you were asking about how to set up my computer. So there goes my desk, right? And now I just go to a standing position. When I jump it to like 115, that's 115. I'll go to like 120 to be up here. If I had to type, I'd be up around 120. And now it just gives me a change of scenery. My whole outlook out my window changes. You're in a different point emotionally when you change this to standing. But guess what's not different?
Posture.
That's correct. If you're in a compromised posture sitting, you're in a more compromised position standing. I promise you that. So the good news is, no matter what position I was working in, whether I'm sitting over here on my recliner couch so I can watch some TV in the middle day, or here, I will never get on a bike or go on a TRX workout or something, or a run without, or even a walk, without saying, I better interrupt my sitting. So let's train for the sport of sitting is where I'm trying to take you on this. And what could it be? I mean, very simply, let's get everybody to stand up again. Unless you're driving, that would not be good.
And by the way, so while you're talking about standing desks, I also posted a link to Veridesk, which is one of the big standing desk companies. It's not the only one, but they do have some different options. So if you're looking for a standing desk, Veridesk is one that I've checked out.
Well, the Veridesk, I think they have the hydraulic one that moves your computer up. This is the entire desk just moved. Like literally my whole desk went up off the ground. And the cool part of it is Amazon, $300.
Wow, that's great.
Yep, I put it.
I got this little slant board thing, so it raises my vision, my screen.
I love it.
This is $25 on Amazon.
There you go. Instead of us being down here, he's going to be up here like this.
Yeah.
Sitting or standing, it flattens out. Your wrists are extended a little bit when you do that. So somebody might go, it's going to be bad for your carpal tunnel. Guys, carpal tunnel is a joke. The impingement that you get at the wrist is happening because the rest of the arm is not sitting in the right place in the shoulder. So if you want to not worry about what Darren's talking about, going, look, I could work like this, but my wrists are extended, and somebody would go, well, that's going to hurt me. We really aren't that fragile. Let's just change the body going to it, then work on whatever you want. But this, I built this. It's a company called Vivo, V-I-V-O, off of Amazon. Okay. So what if you did this, where you just stand up now, and now put the tips of your toes together, 45 degrees with your heels out. And I want you to tighten up your quads, meaning the front thigh muscles, I want you to push them back so it'll feel like your knees lock out. Don't hurt your knee, just push your knees, and it'll feel like when you do that, hey, that's sticking my butt out a little bit. You can thank me later. And then interlace your hands together like this. This is not interlaced. Think all the way together. Put it behind the top of the back of your head. Drop your shoulders. Pull your elbows back and keep your quads tight. So keep your quads tight, elbows back. Try not to lean back. Just look straight ahead. You don't have to lift your head up. You're only going to do this for a minute. Keep it held. Keep your quads tight. Elbows back, 10 seconds. Okay, good. Now just walk your feet out. Drop your arms and have a seat in your chair again. Remember, this chair was built by the lowest bidder.
Oh,
And what's the chair feel like now compared to before?
it's low.
What's your, okay, low meaning the chair feels like it's lower?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I need to, sit up more in front of my chair, I think. 'Cause I'm
Okay.
like kind of, yeah.
Yeah, like slumping is no longer super comfortable,
Right. Yeah.
because what you did is you activated, when you're in this position all day long, you think, well, all I got to do is do back extensions. No, by rotating your legs in, you woke up this muscle.
So as.
That long muscle right there attaching to your lower back, but because it attaches to this lesser trochanter right here, it attaches to the leg bone. Whenever we change your leg and turn your feet pigeon-toed, it creates a tension on this muscle. And I'm telling you guys, it's the on switch for your core. It's the on switch for increased caloric burn. And those of us that want a better butt, this guy,
Baby got.
thank you for your honesty, Trisha. Brian, Joe for sure. Frank, you're screwed. It's over. But I will tell you, how do you build a better butt? How would you do it? Trisha, give me an idea. What have you heard? What have you experienced? It's just us girls. Let's talk about it.
So do bar exercises and lift your leg behind your.
Correct. You'd almost like butt blasters, right? Where you're kicking your leg back.
Or using a ball, a plastic ball.
Yep. And do you realize what you're doing to your lower back when you do that?
You're contracting it.
Well, and you're almost compressing
That's
these
it.
little facet joints doing this. What if your butt could improve just by getting a better heel strike when you walk? So, Trisha, do us a favor. Don't change your camera angle. Just walk around your house once with your hand on the lower part of your butt, pushing in a little bit so you can feel muscle contraction. And come back and tell us when the muscle of the glute contracts. Make sure your blinds are closed because your neighbors are going to think something weird's going on.
When your heel's on the floor.
So when your leg swings in front of you and hits your heel strike, that's when your glute is going to fire the most to stabilize you as you pendulum above and create momentum. But nobody gets the correct heel strike anymore based on how much time we're sitting. And so when we start thinking, how could I lose weight, look better, feel better? You better get a correct foot strike by changing the body going to it so your glute can fire, your hip flexor, psoas can fire, the king and queen can work together so that the rest of the area around there can start doing its job. That's why I'm real big into something like this. So this is a shoe called Xero shoes, Xero.
Got it.
And here's the shoe. Put it in my pocket, take it wherever I want. Well, look how wide the toe box is. So winter's coming. Oh no, what do we do? Well, men, here we go. Now we have the all leather flat sole boot. Like, look at that sole on that shoe.
Wow, it's wide.
And there's the toe box, but look how thin this is, and it's one level versus most shoes are jacked up in the rear like this. So what better way to get a heel strike than a zero drop shoe? And I don't get anything from the company. I just know the guy who started it because he heard Pete Egoscue talking about barefoot technology and built the Xero shoes. Because we all know the 5-finger shoes, the Vibram 5-finger shoes. I love them. But maybe one of the ugliest shoes on the planet. I have 10 pair upstairs. So I had these guys, I'm like, look, Steven, get me some stuff so I can look at it and talk about, because I already know your product is that good. And, their sandals, for a lack of visual I have for you, is like watching the Jesus of Nazareth movie. When Jesus was walking around in those barely sandals, that's what these things are. They're just this real thin thing and you above the ground.
Is there arch support on that at all?
Yeah, actually, God gave you arch support, so let's develop it again.
Got it. Okay. I
Give me arch support. I left out.
Joe, think about it this way. Let's say you guys did walk around and say, well, my feet are flat, my feet are flat.
Yep.
I would experiment with you and say, I wonder if it's the foot. I would have you interlace your hands behind your head and then walk around the room, and you'd feel your feet leave the inside of the foot and possibly come to neutral or even a little bit outside. You normally have flat feet, Joe?
I used to be diagnosed with it, then I just got arch support around it and so forth. So I tend to get wide shoes with arch support. That's what I tend to wear typically, like sneakers.
I actually have prescribed orthotics.
Well, listen, I'm a big fan of the other company, A-Line inserts. Look, I have these old school Vans that I ride on the Carol bike, but I put the A-lines inside, and it allows me to create a better ground reaction force because there's not so much bend to the shoe. You don't want a bendy shoe on a bike that you're trying to create power doing high intensity interval training. You want a stiff shoe. Like if anybody has biking shoes, you don't really bend a biking shoe.
No.
A Van, you can bend all the way up, but a biking shoe is because when you push your quad down, you want your quad to distribute the work through the shoe to the pedal.
Yeah, it's like a climbing shoe, right? They're very stiff-soled.
Exactly. You never run a marathon in those shoes.
No.
So
Barely.
we were all going to do, hey, Veronica, Ruth, everybody was going to go on a marathon. And we said, okay, Michael, everybody, we're going to go on a marathon run in about 6 months. What are we going to start with? We're going to go to the kids' park, and we're all going to get on swings. And I want you guys to swing like you did when you were a little kid. We'd all go like this. I don't want to look stupid. But come on, we're part of the New York Power Team. We don't really care, right? Who cares?
I don't mind looking stupid. I look stupid already anyway.
Listen, I love that. Chris Farley was good at that self-deprecation too. He's one of my favorites, and God bless that guy.
Right.
So if we're swinging,
Love him.
and then we would say, now let's climb up the pole and slide down the slide. And guys, we're going to do this for an hour straight, 3 days this week, which will prep us for training when I start the run next week. Why is that functional? Remember, we're going to the kids' park.
I mean, I'm guessing that when you're on the swing going back and forth, you're building, you got to like strengthen your back to be able to go back and forth on the swing. So
You're going here, and then you're going here, and then you're going forward again. What do? You kind of pull on this as you lean back. So everything's firing here, everything's firing your back. And you're creating power and momentum to go forward.
got it.
Well, here is outside of Levi Stadium at the 49ers. And what are they doing?
Bear crawls
Under
wooden, like the dividers, trees or whatnot.
a kids park that we built outside there
Got
for
it.
adult kids to be able to move. And then we move them into the weight room after they do, things like that. Then we
Wow.
take them into the weight room and go, now let's do traditional training.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
when you guys say, help this guy with baseball or help this guy with football or whatever, look, people like Gardner Minshew, quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, when I got him, he was like this and he was throwing pretty hard. But everything he did with his trainer was kind of in this position. So does anybody on here ever do like elbow planks in the gym, where you're up like this and you're planked out and you're holding it for as long as you can?
Yes.
So Frank does it, Trisha does it. Anybody else? Okay. Well, let's look at this. Trisha and Frank, do you guys mind changing your camera angle so we can see you guys do it? You're not going to hold it long, I promise you.
I have to move out of this room, so you have to give me a minute.
Well, you're okay. We can let Trisha do it.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll try it.
There you go, Darren. Thank you, Darren, for stepping up.
Let me see.
This is way better because the guy who's truly believing suns out, guns out, that's who I really wanted to do this. Okay.
What am I
Okay.
doing?
Get into that position and tell me about that, Darren. And again, Don't try to be the New York tough guy. We're not going to fight. Just tell me, what's it feel like? Are you getting any work out of it?
I feel pretty solid and comfortable. I can be here for a while, I think.
Okay, good. That's going to end here. So what I want you to do is now point your thumbs up a little bit.
Yeah.
And now pull your hands away from each other, pivoting on your elbows. So keep your elbows where they are, and
Yeah.
just pull your hands apart.
Yeah.
Keep them out there. And now drop your shoulder blades together.
Like
So
this.
shoulder blades like this. Look, down and back. Get your hip. There we go. There we go. Right there. The shoulder blades together. Sink them. Let the chest bone go like this. Go here. So it's here, here.
Okay.
Now tell me what that feels like compared to when your arms were turned the other way.
Yeah, it's getting more difficult and harder.
Yeah, it sounds like you're giving birth. So keep that held. But he's a strong guy. But maybe if we can just perfect the position that he's training in, he'll get double the growth with half the effort.
It feels like I'm sagging, like when I try to put my elbows, my shoulders together, I'm like sagging. Is it supposed to like sag like that?
So my question is, what I just heard you say was, whenever I bring my shoulder blades together, it feels like does it feel like your lower back sags?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we can do to help you with that is, if I was training you, I'd have a towel wrapped under your groin area, like in the front of the belt, and I'd hold you up a little bit just to tell you where it is for biofeedback, and then I'd let it go a little bit. Or you start to fatigue, we come down, take a break, we do some other things.
Right.
But this is never about how long you hold it. What I'm trying to get across here, and Frank, you really wasn't that bad compared to, here's the world record holder about 5 years ago. And tell me why this guy was able to hold this, if I remember right, 4 hours?
Wow.
It's not Frank, guys. I know some of you are asking. But look,
Yeah.
why was he able to hold it 4 hours?
Toes.
Look at his upper back.
Big arch.
He's looking down.
Yep, okay, and he's looking down, but look at that massive arch. Look
Big
at
arch.
that huge rounding kyphosis in his upper back. Now, let me ask you a question. If we know that that's wrong in the sense for any kind of functional movement, here's a dude from Mexico who came to see me, and look at, come on, change. Look at that back versus the second picture. Big difference in the two.
How long did that take to happen? How long was that? How many?
That was about 8 weeks,
Got it.
and he was doing the exercises at home. What I'm going to take you to is this picture. Come on, where are you? And now we talk about remember the rounding or the kyphosis. Why did this guy lose that fight?
Well, the guy on the right, why did he lost? Yeah, because his shoulders are rounded in.
Yeah, he's arched forward.
He's arched forward.
And don't get me wrong, his partner was one of the best in the world.
But look at his posture. He's like more straight up,
Correct. Versus
hunched over.
same guy, 2 different postures, 2 different fights, 2 different outcomes.
Is that McGregor? It looks like McGregor.
McGregor.
Yeah.
But look at him in the green. I got him 12 days out of UFC against Cowboy, and he wins in 42 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's because he wasn't fighting me.
It's very true. But that's why he retired. He heard you were on the next ticket.
He heard about your planking, Darren.
Wait. So the guy who went 4 hours had the major arching of the back. Is that good or bad?
Horrible.
Horrible. But he was there for 4 hours.
Yeah, you can hold it for 4 hours because he wedged himself. He wedged himself on the bones to do the work. Rounded his back over. Are you working out to train your bones to be out of position, or are you working out to build muscles to hold you in the right position?
Okay. Yeah.
No, and I love that point, and maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on that, because I know from being a rock climber, one of the things that you do to rest is when you're waiting for your next move, you hang on your bones so you're not putting pressure on your muscles so they don't get tired. So you go to full extension rather than hanging on like this. If you're hanging on like this, you're going to get exhausted. But if you go to full extension, you're hanging on your wrist, on your bone, then you're actually resting. Just talk a little bit more about, exercising the muscles versus the bone,
Well, that's a perfect thing that Frank just brought up. And they're two of the same things. The guy found a very efficient way to hold himself so he could become the world record holder. We went to Oceanside and found him. We put him in the correct plank. He lasted 38 seconds and never talked to us again. Because I challenged his whole significance. And I didn't want to. But that position is not, in fact, the female now who's the world record holder, she actually had a really good position. That girl was a stud. She dropped right into it. Hands are here, shoulders were pretty flat, and she held it for longer. I don't know how she did it, but maybe that's why God gives women childbirth and not men, because they're the real athletes. Guys, that's a little humor. It's okay to chuckle. There's a lot of
It's actually not humor. It's true.
Yeah. So, let's move our bodies into this position to get us more functional, then get on the bike, then get on the run, then get on, that kind of stuff. And it was very easy with Connor because I just said, look, he said, Brian, do you want to get in the octagon and show me some stuff? I said, no, you're a prick in the octagon. I'm not going in there with you. Let's do this and this and this. And he throws a punch. And then we changed his postural position on through the exercise. He threw it again. And he's like, something's completely different. Like it had a different snap to it. And I said, that is why Khabib had the unfair advantage in that 2 fights ago. You went in the wrong position, so your breathing was so compromised. And that was our job, to help the greatest of all time get to another level. Whether he comes back and fights or not, I don't know. We just happened to get him.
About that too, because I think that's another critically important issue. I don't want to gloss over it. The interaction between the postural aspects, the muscle function, and the breathing component, and how they all interplay.
That's a really easy one. If you put your hands like this and you put it right on the bottom of your rib cage like this, that's your diaphragm. And when you contract the diaphragm, breathing in, and the diaphragm works, it's basically like an umbrella. It's going to reverse the umbrella. Here, 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 here. Well, the nerve that innervates the diaphragm comes from the neck. So if we were to talk about, hey, how do I get my diaphragm to work better? It's about getting your neck in a better position and getting your upper back out of this position. So if you just hold yourself like this and try to take that deep breath, you're going to do this. You're going to go up and down, north, south. I need you to go east, west. And I don't want it to be an escape forward. Some people say belly breathe. I would rather have you have a little bit of tension on the wall of your abdominal wall and force when you breathe in, and my lung fills up, but so is my diaphragm dropping. I'm actually breathing into my kidney area in my back. So Frank, do you mind showing us another thing on the ground?
Sure. I'm going to have to move the computer.
Oh, no. Sorry.
Darren?
Darren. Sorry. Darren, do you mind showing us another thing on the ground here?
Okay. I teach belly breathing to my 3rd and 4th graders in school. I teach mindfulness and stuff. So we put we put like a book on our thing, and we see the belly going up and down. I thought that's how you're supposed to breathe from your diaphragm.
This is so perfect, and I want the audience to know this was not planned. But this is what God provides if you're just a good person. I think Frank's a good person. That's why this happened. It had nothing to do with me. So, Darren, in that position, show us you're just a normal 3 or 4 belly breaths.
Yeah. All right. Well, wait, all right.
Everybody can see it going up and down?
Yep.
Okay, now Darren, roll over onto your stomach. Get rid of the magazine. Roll over on your stomach with your forehead like this on your hands. Yep. Now move forward just a little bit so we can see more of your ab area, like butt area. Good, right there, right there, right there. Now what I want you guys to watch for is watch for the wrinkles in the very bottom of that shirt down by his waistline. You see all those wrinkles in the shirt? I want those wrinkles to go away. So Frank, I want you to breathe in again the same way, but now your stomach cannot escape forward because of the floor. It's gonna push left, right, and rear. So breathe in and breathe out. And Frank, do you mind talking once so you take the next thing?
Darren.
Damn it.
I'm Frank.
I did have more.
Only one Frank.
All
I'm a
right,
lazy
yeah.
dude sitting in the chair, watching somebody else exercise.
So
All right, what do you want me to talk? What do you want me to say?
Just have a conversation.
just keep breathing, but the camera will focus on you in the big, it'll focus on you now. Go.
Okay. I talk. Oh, I see. Keep on talking so you can see. So is the wrinkles going away?
You guys see how his body's starting to lift up off the ground, and if you had your hands on his kidney area, you'd actually feel him breathing in and pushing outward against your hands.
So my love handles are getting like bigger, like wider this way?
Yeah, but no, go put your hands back to where they were just now.
Yeah.
No, put them back on your love handle area.
Yeah.
Your thumb is what we're talking about. Back there near the kidneys.
Yeah.
That's where the breathing should be, where you feel as you breathe in, it's pushing the thumb outward.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I feel that.
Honestly, guys, listen to me when I tell you this. You could breathe yourself right out of back pain.
Wow.
Because you're mobilizing tissue in your lower back now.
So I'm just going to make a quick comment on where we are in the world cycle with the pandemic, right? One of my friends runs a critical care center here in New York. They were at the forefront of the COVID pandemic. She manages the ICUs. And one of the things that they do medically when these people go on ventilators is they roll them over on their stomachs. They call it proning or prone positioning, because being on their stomachs, laying on their abdomen like that, activates that abdominal breathing, right? And makes it easier for them to breathe. So it's, medically, if you're in critical condition from COVID-19 or something like that and on a ventilator, this is one of the things they would do is position you on your stomach so that the exhalation would be more under your own power and would, help to trigger those muscles to help you start to breathe on your own again.
Well, look, Darren's in there with all the kids teaching them diaphragmatic breathing. Now he can come in with something different and say, and teach them a little bit. Okay, little Johnny, I want you to touch Timmy's body over here. Like put your hand right there in those kidney areas. And when he breathes in, feel the pressure coming out. And then honestly, Darren, you can teach him an anatomy physics class right there saying, this is called intra-abdominal pressure. You're not really breathing into your kidneys. Your lungs are doing the breathing, but your diaphragm is contracting and coming downward. It can't escape forward. So it now pushes the tissue posterior and laterally, and literally all that fascia that's in the back that everybody complains about that's real tight, you're actually going to use your breathing to get the fascia to become more fluid on the tissue that it's connected to.
So it's inhale, exhale, like so you'd love to inhale, exhale, like you're.
Yep. It's almost like when you breathe in, you're eating more and you're getting fatter, and then you breathe out and you're just letting it go. And then breathing in and it comes, rather than going north and south, heaving for air. Which is why, listen, I have a bike here and I'm just going to show it to you because it's different than anything I've ever run into. And it's called the Carol bike. So I'm in a relationship with Carol, is how I told the CEO. I said, I feel like I'm in a bad relationship with Carol because she kicks my butt. It's an 8-minute workout, 2 20-second sprints at the fastest you've ever pedaled in your freaking life. Like your quads, your glycogen, everything's wasted at the end. How do you breathe? because you go 2 minutes riding just like this. Hey, what's going on, dude? What's going on? 20 seconds of, I'm not kidding, as fast as you can go. And that 20 seconds feels like forever. And you're trying to build up your power. The artificial intelligence on the bike adjusts as you're producing more power. It's going to tighten down a little bit more because it's learning how you're getting stronger. Great bike. Having said that, if I took this body sitting here for 6 hours on Zoom all day and got on there, I may produce the power, but I may not recover before the next re-hit 3 minutes later, and then I don't get enough power or movement out of the second time because I never caught my breath back because I was stuck in this position. So what I do is I'm going to write some protocol for the company now. Hopefully they'll use this. Interrupt the sitting posture to get your body into a better biking posture to create more power down below rather than having to pull on the bars to create all your power. So here's a perfect example, and I use these, I save these on my phone for you guys to see. And I may have shown this to some people. Here's a 200-meter run, the first 200-meter run my son ever did in a race. And I gave him one piece of advice. He's like, I don't know how to run track. What am I supposed to do? I said, put your hands on the track, get your butt in the air and just sprint. Well, how do I get faster? I said, pump your arms faster than you've ever pumped them in their lives. Your legs will catch up. So here he is running a 200. He's on the inside with the white shirt on in the back. And that's a 200-meter run.
Wow, he's pumping them fast.
Yeah.
Well, he won by 20 meters.
Amazing.
Like at that point right there, he started to slow down because he said, Dad, I felt bad for the other kids. Being part of the New York Power Team, I said, you kick your opponent when they're down.
Awesome.
No, Christ mercy.
He looks like the white Usain Bolt.
Yes, and well, imagine some people tried to change Usain Bolt's starting position because they said it's so inefficient. Why would you change his starting position when he's so speedy once he comes out of it? So our goal is to get you in a better shoulder position, number one, because that invokes a better breathing, that invokes a better hip, and that invokes a waking up of that muscle.
So
Literally,
that
that's
starting position alone was a game changer, you're saying, as well as pumping the arms. Those were like the two bits of coaching.
well, yeah, but his starting position, he had no idea. All the other kids did it. They put their hands like this. They got up in their starting blocks. He was like, well, I guess I should start down there too. I just said, just go. He could have fallen. He could have fallen, scraped his knee and went, shit, and then got up and still won the race. Because he had such an unfair advantage going in, which was the opposite of what Connor had in the Khabib fight. But his Cowboy fight, Cowboy had no chance. And he won in 42 seconds. And if you guys remember this, he was tied up with him, and he punched him 4 times with what, Darren?
I don't know, jab? I don't know. With shoulder?
Like this. Bam! Bam! He hit him 4 times in the face with his shoulder because he understood, I'm going to drive with my hip to throw that foot into the ground, and that's going to create that spring to come up. That's no different than this, guys. No different than the golf swing. You've got to create power. It's no different than getting off the toilet with your legs instead of pushing up with your arms. And trust me, when you guys do that tonight, you'll notice, oh shit, I do. I put my hands on my legs and I use my legs to get up. Stop it.
How about that? Like this.
My God, Darren, I was worried. I thought you were taking us into the bathroom.
Like that? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, but a lot of people won't do it. And it's not a judgment, guys. This is not judgment 101. This is non-judgment. This is consider yourself informed now. And now all you can do is you have 2 choices. I'm either going to implement some of these things or I'm good the way I am. And I'm okay with either one because I want you to, if you ever bought into something that we do, I want you to make sure it makes complete sense to you first.
Michael's got a question. Where does their body expand when standing and breathing properly? So Michael, do you want to expand on that question?
Yeah. My question is, when I'm watching what he did when he was lying down, but it was a little hard for me to figure it out for me. When I'm standing, where should I be feeling my body expand? I know you mentioned it, on the back and everything else, but does my stomach come out? Does my stomach just stay in, or what am I doing?
That's a great question. I would tell you that standing's probably the wrong position to evaluate it, because the tendency would be to belly breathe out. And I'm okay with the belly breathing out. Just force that for a little bit, but then turn it over, which will stop the belly breathing. And it's almost like where Darren has his hands around his hips. It's where your thumb is digging back here, where you want to feel like you're breathing into. Hard to do until you get the body to posturally do this. Now, I taught a course on this called East-West Breathing. And the number one unlocking of all of this was the shoulder.
Really? I feel it.
It's interesting because I never have my stomach go out, and I was taking a meditation class the other day, and they were making us put our stomach out while we were breathing, and I found that I was getting lightheaded. It's not the way I normally breathe, so it was a little confused.
I would tell you this, that's because you're really increasing your oxygen levels.
I mean,
They would tell you you're really increasing your oxygen levels. That's what they would tell you. I absolutely vehemently disagree. I look at it from the standpoint of, there's a book called, here, great book, The Oxygen Advantage. The simple, scientifically proven breathing technique that will revolutionize your health and fitness. What's the crux to the book? That CO2 is not your enemy. Too much O2 is your enemy.
You're lightheaded.
It's a very interesting subject.
Wow.
Too much oxygen is a bad thing? I mean, I thought your brain needs oxygen and things.
Well, it is, but when you look at the air you're breathing in, look at the percentage of oxygen versus the CO2 that you expel. What is the amount you're actually taking in? What's your absorption rate? What's your, heart rate variability can be translated into the amount of oxygen that your body's actually saturating with, which is what the study of this bike was, to go high intensity and all that stuff. What I found with this book was very interesting in the sense that I always thought, as a physiologist, I'd be going, okay, we need more air. We're going to heave. I need more air. And it's slow it down.
Wow.
And slow that exhale out. It's not exhale to breathe more in. It's slow it down, and you'll get much more control over your breathing long term. And this dude's worked with, bazillions of athletes to do this kind of stuff. And I found it very interesting because it's very true about Michael's question, like, where should I feel this? If I do this,
right.
Versus just try that. And I dare you not to feel your abdominal wall engage.
Yeah, because I was very confused with the meditation. I'm like, that's not the way that I was, because I took the Sazi method years ago when I was doing life mastery, and I've been practicing it, I thought. And then I got confused, and I went yesterday to the doctor, and they did a blood oxygen test to see how much blood oxygen I'm breathing. And I had a mask on, and I said, I can't imagine I'm going to get anything. She said, through the mask, my breathing was really, the oxygen level and everything in the blood was really good. And and that was breathing the way that I thought I should be breathing, which is not putting my stomach out.
Well, are masks bad? Now, that's not a loaded political question, because I really think the right and the left in this country are so effed up.
I saw an article that those neck gaiters are really, really bad because the droplets are bigger and it acts as very, very not effective. Those neck gaiters, some CNN article had this whole thing about why they're not good.
Well, if it was CNN, it's got to be the truth. So, Wait, I hope you're picking up on the sarcasm. Because I'll go to there for my lies, and then I'll verify the lies by going to Fox.
Right.
That's both of a to either. So having said that, what I'm asking about is the breathing. Is it okay to wear a mask? Could it make you more efficient as a breather by wearing these masks?
Fascinating question.
We're getting too much CO2. Like people are actually fainting because they're wearing a mask. Okay, fake news. Sorry. Unless they're wearing something that, I mean, that's a different story. But when I have customized masks with the Egoscue method logo on there, and here's one from Brixton, which is, you know, double layer, you know, in this kind of stuff, hand washable. Put it on, put it up like this, and if I breathe in hard enough, the cloth is coming with me. I dig it. It's making me work to breathe in slower and exhale a little slower without blowing it off my face.
Like a resistance.
Exactly. So think about the NLP that I created with myself to go, what a pain in my backside. I better find a silver lining in this somewhere.
Called reframing from NLP perspective.
That's correct. Why not? Yeah, exactly. And you know, whenever somebody says, yeah, but my glasses fog up. Okay. If I wear these blue blockers, you know, from True Dark, I'm in trouble if I'm driving. So I just do this. I move this higher on my face, and I move the glasses over the top of the material, and there's no fogging anymore.
Wow. That was worth like $10,000. Awesome.
And then
Did you check a money order too?
Exactly.
this is the night version from True Dark, where you want to block all, like right now back east, it's what time there? 8:30?
Yep.
You guys should all be in these glasses. I don't sell them. At least this color.
Yep.
Joseph does, yeah.
So-
Joseph has those.
This and this. This is the twilight. This is right around mid-afternoon, going into early evening. I've worn them during the day just because they look badass. But I also like these because they're daytime. I actually look like I know what I'm talking about, which is half the time not true. But they have a company called True Dark. Guys, and I'm telling you, they're running specials left and right during COVID. They're part of the Dave Asprey bulletproof stuff, the biohacking stuff. Same with the Carol bike. And whether you like Dave or not, what I love about Dave is he's out there, dude.
Yep. He's testing his stuff out.
Yeah,
I
and he,
totally follow him.
yeah, he's trying to fix himself over a time frame and trying to pass along the information.
How's this mask? I got this mask here.
What is that?
This is this goes underneath my Spider-Man costume. Authentic Spider-Man.
I honestly thought because it's Darren, it was his cup for softball. I may do this. I may show up to one of these talks, full-on jock strap and a cup on my face going like this. I ran out of stuff.
Bane, it's like Bane from Batman. Right.
That's what it looks like. Is yeah, Darren looks like Bane. Like you must do it now, Batman.
That was a great Bane, by the way. Great Bane impression.
Look, his best movie was Warrior. Have you seen it?
No.
The guy that played Bane, what's his name?
He was also Venom as well, also in the Venom movie.
But he has an MMA movie called Warrior. And you want to see a very uplifting family type of movie. Now, there's fighting. I'm talking about where the Dave family came together. It was amazing.
Awesome. Tom Hardy is his name.
Tom Hardy. And I'm not even an MMA fan. I don't like the sound of this, you know, fist to face. I'm not a fan of it. I like the jiu-jitsu side of it because that to me is just wrestling, grappling. I wrestled my whole life, all that stuff. So, but that movie was very cool. He came out of the military, you know, AWOL for a reason, and what happened with him when he joined the fight. So, look, you guys, I will tell you flat out, we'll go to the female version of this one now. That exercise should be done by everybody tonight.
For how long?
Honestly, I'll be in it tonight for 2 hours.
2 hours.
But I have a set of glasses called bed spectacles. Write that down. Bed spectacles or prism glasses. Prism. Not prison, Darren. Prism.
For everyone watching us virtually on Facebook, if you join us on the chat, join us on Zoom, you can actually access all of these. Frank and I and the whole team here, we're posting all the comments and all the links to all these products on Zoom. So getmomentum.live will bring you back in here. Back to you, Brian.
Prism glasses are not like these. You put them on, and right here I'd have to look at you guys and read a book like this. These have a mirror in them that looks down toward the crotch area. So I could have a book right here and I'm reading the book, turning pages, taking notes, but I don't have to look down. So tonight I'll be laying on my back for 2 hours with those glasses on, looking up, refracting that image and watching something relaxing like Narcos or something.
Do you have to read backwards or is it actually right side up?
Everything's right side up.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're called prism glasses. They're like $8 on Amazon.
Yeah, I just posted it in the chat.
Amazing.
Fine.
Fantastic.
Oh, and then all the other things that Brian's been sharing with us, from the dark glasses to the Warrior movie, the SOAS book, the Carol bike, the Oxygen Advantage, all those are in the chat. And if you are not familiar with Zoom, if you go down to the bottom of the chat, there are 3 dots in the lower right corner of your screen. You click on those 3 dots, you can save the chat, and it will save to your Zoom directory, so you'll be able to save all those resources.
Oh, really? How do I do that? Say that again?
Repeat that, please.
Yeah.
Lower right-hand corner, if you click on the bottom of your screen, if you click on the chat box, so it comes up on the right, lower right-hand corner, it says, to everyone, then it says file, and then there's 3 dots. If you click on those, left click on those 3 dots, the top menu choice is save chat, and it will save the chat to your Zoom directory.
And I'm going to post instructions for that specifically in Zoom. So just click on that. It'll show you exactly how to do that, and pretty easy to figure out. So we'll save this at the end of the session. I'll guide you to do this again. So at the end of when Brian's complete, just so we can really maximize on his time here.
Oh, that's okay. I have 2.5 hours left. So
perfect.
But here's the book that I think you might find better than the SOAS book by Liz Koch is probably more for practitioners. This one is very good because there's a lot of yoga-like poses in here, and they talk about the energy and the chakra. So it's like they're going to take you into like Cobra and show you what's happening to the psoas and different muscles like that if you're interested.
What are your thoughts about Bikram with that, Brian? I've been doing Bikram for Brian. Actually, Darren got me the Bikram about 16, 17 years ago, and for the past 4 years, I've been practicing regularly. But with COVID, it's been closed. What are your thoughts about that? 26 poses, hot, the heat.
There's no such thing as bad movement. There's only the wrong alignment taking into bad movement.
Got it.
What's the name of the book again?
I just posted it in the chat.
The vital
Vital Psoas Muscle by Joanne
Stagger Jones.
Stagger Jones.
Beautiful.
In her book, she actually says, here's one of her bibliographies for books that she's referenced from this. And Pete Egoscue, Pain Free, was one of the books that she did. Because he's influenced so many people in the functional movement world, because he was speaking this way back in the 70s and 80s. When I met him in the 90s, everybody was kind of joking about him. Like, he's that Marine that talks crazy, doing shit with taking people to playgrounds and having them do this. And yeah. And mostly all my NFL guys don't have CTE. Okay, here's a fun topic, since we're just hanging out. How about this? Here's the frontal lobe of a brain with all that white fluid over here caught up at the frontal lobe, chronic symptoms, can't remember, pressure on the brain, angry, no memory, can't look at lights, wore dark glasses, and that's the same brain over here 5 minutes later. And the symptom was, I felt like my brain flushed, like everything left. could see better, could remember better. Did it solve the problem? You know, look, this was the alignment problem. That's not a natural S curve of the spine. That's a problem.
So what was the exercise in between? Laying on the back with the feet up on the chair, or was it more than that?
No, to change neck position faster, think of the xiphoid process right here, that lower bone right here where the ribs are.
There's a new word for us.
Well, it's okay. Just think of that little bone that's right where your ribs come together, right where your sternum is. Think the length of the sternum up to the top, where it drops into your throat a little bit right there. That area in your back is what you need to mobilize in order to get the C spine to change position. So change the upper back to get the neck to come back, but none of it will happen if the hip is not more functional.
How is these things? Does that do this? You familiar with these?
I honestly love Darren. He's like one of my favorite human beings right now.
With that? This is my fiance. We're getting married in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
So Carrie's Darren was doing all these moves before with the camera down. He's on the ground. So for all these single women in the audience and Facebook watching this, Darren's taking, so in 4 weeks, he's getting married. That's his fiance. Okay.
So you like this, Brian?
That thing that you've got there, Darren. What is it called?
So it's
I
like
have no idea. This is a cheap one. I have no idea.
no, it's like a posture brace
Yeah.
that tries to hold your posture back.
Yeah.
I broke my collarbone snowboarding like 17 years ago, and I wore one of those for about the course of about 6 months, and then I ran a marathon. But I wore one of those things. It was posture brace. That was the only instance where I wore that.
The issue with the posture brace is that it might be good at, if it says it holds you like this, the question is, what's doing the work? You or the brace?
Right.
That's like me saying, Darren, do you have elbow pain?
I do. Yes.
Okay, how about the other arm?
No, this one's good.
I'm going to put a brace on your other arm with no pain.
Right.
Like you would go, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
Let's do the work to change the way the shoulders are sitting so the brace doesn't have to do it for us. That's why those of you with kids, nobody loves anything more than their kids, except when they're around 14. I get it.
Yeah, mine's 15.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Talk about a hate. Wow. But these are on the wrong side, but the before and after pictures of that spine, let me see if I can get it close enough for it to level out.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
How old is that? Is that kid? 14, 15?
Now, this is right around like 12, 13, 11, 12, 13, 14 in that age.
Got it.
But think about, young person, especially female, don't get me wrong. I raised a boy who, no lie, had his own menstrual cycle. There's no question about it. When you think that boys don't go batshit crazy in their teenage years, you're crazy. But girls, and I had 3 sisters, still do, great girls, but I was raised by wolves, and they were literally on the same cycle all the time, like everybody says. And we joke about it now because they were like, Brian, we felt so bad for you. And I said, that's why I was always out with my friends, because there wasn't a chance in hell I was coming home. But think about the hormonal changes to their bodies. Boys go through this the same way. Girls go through it in a way that's, I think, when I say way worse, it's for a better reason, for the reproductive reasons. But when you start looking at the hormonal changes that happen through the teenage years, and then you add scoliosis on top of that, and you become completely unstable, it's critical for you to create the brace of stability around the whole human body by getting the muscles to balance out and do the work. Now let's go later on. Let's go to 55. Whew, I'm getting up at night 3 times a night. I'm sweating. Okay, here it comes. Menopause is right around the corner. It is critical for you to get your upper back as a woman out of here and into here before you lay down in bed. And I promise you better results all through that bullshit.
And the best way to do that is?
Great question. I'm so glad you asked.
Ottoman.
Do you need a special pillow?
No, no.
You put your legs up.
You put your legs up on
Your
it.
screen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He does it for 2 hours and he reads a book.
Okay.
Yeah, but I read my book with the glasses, remember, so I don't have to hold the book up here.
Look at all the tricks this guy's got in place.
Yeah.
Brian,
It's
could you hold that up again? So I want to capture some video for people virtually. So
I want to make sure, just in case somebody's identifying as either one, I want to make sure we're good.
got it.
It
Awesome.
does. It feels a lot better. I'm a runner, and I started to notice my right hip when I lay down. I can feel it's almost like a hollowed out feeling. I can feel that it shifted, and I have to put my legs up in this position in order to feel some kind of comfort.
Like this?
No, not well. Both legs, like the bent one.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. So what if I said to you, running is the reason why your hip goes out?
Exactly. Thank you.
I'm sure my knee, I have to go, now I have to go to a specialized doctor because my knee is making a very weird crunching noise.
So yeah, but your knee's crunching because you're a runner.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys hear, like they're literally taking every hook that I give them, and I'm literally fish hooking both of them right now hard. Because I just said to you, running is causing your hip pain, running's causing your knee pain, and you were like this, yeah.
Stop running. Hello, stop running. Hello. I've been telling her for 2
Well,
years.
I'm in the process of trying to find an exercise that gives me the same kind of result.
Hello, there's a rebounder over there. I have a NEDAC rebounder. Hello.
I love Frank, or sorry, Darren, this is where shut the fuck up for a second. This is your wife to be.
Mhm.
Running is probably the most natural thing you could do, and why take it away from her?
Right. Yeah.
Don't take it away from her.
Just you're right. Just adjust.
How about we say this? And let's go back to what I said. Running hurt you. Yes. But you run with both sides and only one of them hurts. So it's like somebody saying, I'm 60, and Brian, when you're 60, you'll have pain too. My knee hurts. Really? How old's your other knee? And Darren, I'm just giving you a hard time because I see your excitement. And I don't think you've been married long enough to know.
No.
Not married yet.
Make it her idea.
Okay, yeah.
Make it her idea. Honey, you look so sexy on that rebounder. Boom, she's on it.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, when you go out for a run, I would not want to take it away from her, because I'll be honest with you, what you're going to do is you're going to get a woman who wants to run. Then she's over in the rebounder going, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. I miss this. I'm getting pissed off the more I do this. And Frank, you keep telling me this is good for me. And now I'm getting pissed off at you.
Don't
Right?
bring me into it. It's Darren, remember.
Oh yeah, Darren. Yeah, but subconsciously, I think
I got my own wife to worry about.
So if we want to get her back to running, let's give her some things to do before she runs.
Okay.
So that she maybe goes, maybe there's an imbalance. Like, for example, what's your name again?
It's Carrie.
Carrie, will you stand up for a second? Do you have shoes on or off?
They're off.
She's very flat-footed. She's got Frank. She's like Frank.
I just bought a pair of Hoka ones.
So let me explain to you what she just bought, guys. She just bought a bouncy thing that you buy during your kid's birthday party and put them on her feet.
They're so ugly.
But look how much cushion is underneath. Look how much cushion is underneath the shoe when he goes to get it. Great shoe, but just stay. Yeah, look at that. Does that look a little different than the shoes that I had up in front of you a while ago? And again, nothing wrong with the shoe. I want to change the body going to it. So now just stay looking at me. Now, for those of you watching, and Carrie's so nicely sitting here doing this, Carrie, do you feel, with your eyes closed, do you feel how much of your right arm versus your left arm is touching the side of your body?
Yes.
Which one's more touching more of the body?
My right arm.
So your right arm's against the body.
Yeah.
For those of you watching, and I'm going to take a picture of this so you can see it.
Yeah, my left arm's, there's a gap.
You stay right there. Keep talking.
Yeah,
Keep talking, keep talking.
there's a gap on the left side. where my right arm seems like it's more close to the body, or my shoulder might be slumped down. I'm not sure.
Right, exactly.
Hey, I'm still on this call. Can I call you back? Okay, see you.
Yeah.
Okay, look at this picture. Remember, it's just us girls, so we can bring things up.
Okay.
Michael, this is the stuff we were talking about as it relates to breathing, as it relates to lymphatic flow, as it relates to caloric burn that you were talking about before. Take a look at your left hip on the outside versus your right hip on the outside.
Oh yeah, I see it. Oh my God. It's slanted.
Yeah, it's like this.
It's crooked.
Okay, well, how about this area right here? Look at this area right there versus right there.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see it.
It's higher. It's higher on the left. Yeah, the left is much higher.
How about this side is flat?
Flatter.
Flatter.
That's the hip that hurts. It's yeah.
You are,
I have a limited range of motion where I can hear it popping now when I go to lift my leg up in the air.
you have a piece of paper there and a pen or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's.
Tell me when you have the piece of paper. And I think every female on here should do this
Mm-hmm.
because this is the tabloid stuff that they're BSing you about. Hey, by the way, Carrie, the magazine says, oh, you should work here. Here's Darren, how he gets himself in trouble. See, you need to work out harder and eat less, Carrie. That's where she's. No, I know you don't do that. I know you don't do that. So I want you to write something down. Write the word fat, F-A-T.
Mm-hmm.
How's it feel to write that down? Now remember, you're representative of every female in the world right now. How's it feel?
It feels ugly.
Okay. Michael, did you write it down?
I did write it down.
What's it feel like to write it down?
Depressing.
Okay. So we're all in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now right below that, write P-H-A-T.
Fat.
What's that one feel like?
It feels hip, but it feels cool.
Hey, Michael, how about you?
So kind of humorous.
Exactly. Like a smile came over your face, right?
Yeah, I did.
But the second one is the more important one because it's part of that word.
Gym fat? What?
Lymphatic.
Oh, lymphatic system. Hello. Rebounding works your lymphatic system.
Oh, Jesus. There goes Darren. He's going to get punched by her in 2 seconds.
I know. He wants me to do this in the parking lot of our apartment complex. He's bouncing around like a jackrabbit out there.
I do the same with Shirley, so don't feel so bad, Darren.
I take you through this is that when you can realize that this is really what's going on with this.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Try rebounding for a week and see what happens.
I feel like my body's crooked. Like
It
I'm
is.
slanted.
100%. And you're taking that crooked, slanted body into a run and expecting a bilateral fat loss. It's not happening.
Yeah.
So if I were to, look, if I knew you better, I'd go like this. I'd high five you and go, yeah, you're fat. P-H-A-T. Because it's part of the lymphatic blockage that's happening in your body. And it's not even happening bilateral. One is different than the other. So let's go back to, but wait, it's on my right side like this, and it's on my left side like this, but my left side is where I have the pain. How do we know your right side may not be the problem, which causes an overload on your left, which creates the pain?
Mm-hmm.
What if?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Brian, how do I fix it? I'm so glad you asked, Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
That was some humor. It's okay to chuckle, Carrie. You don't have to
Yeah,
say-
no,
Read this book?
because it's serious. I was just talking to one of my girlfriends about what is it, osteoporosis or some kind of surgery. We were just having a big discussion that I don't want to have to do this, but I do like to run, and I don't know what to do.
Okay, so those of you, sorry, Darren just held up the Pain Free book.
Mm-hmm.
This was out in 1997. It's done in 13 different languages. We're going to rewrite it this year, going into next year.
Mm-hmm.
Add some updated, but I'm telling you, this book is a game changer. If this is all you did, get the first 3 chapters of the book. Yeah, that's me in the book. Sorry, I had more hair then.
Oh, okay.
That's him.
Oh,
Parachute MC Hammer pants in there too.
you're like a fine wine. You look better.
Oh, there we go. See that? You guys hear that? I have to make sure they hear it. So the idea is that we want to get you to a point where you're smarter working out. Versus
Yeah.
who's going to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we do that by saying, Darren, if you guys have, Darren, suggest that you should read her a chapter of that book every night, the first 2 chapters, and then say, wow, because you're going to learn a lot when you do that, when you hear yourself talk like that. And then you go, wow, that's interesting, because the whole first 3 chapters are to change your mindset of Carrie's not broken. She's just bent. And bent can be bent back. Broken is snapped.
Yeah. Yeah. It was funny because we were watching, what is it, The Last Dance, and you see these guys icing themselves down and everything. And I said, oh boy, I'm kind of like Michael Jordan because I'm icing my knees at night. I'm doing all these things. Like, what's going on here?
You're exactly on. This is no BS either. You are exactly the way that I would evaluate Michael Jordan would be the exact way that I would look at you. Because the body has this blueprint. I'm going to carry this into in the evaluation thing. I'm going to have you bend over, try to touch your toes. I'm going to ask you where your body weight is. I'm going to look at your muscle tissue. Same thing I do with him at the pro level.
Yeah. Yeah.
The human body is not tricky. We make it tricky. We convolute this whole thing about health, and then we blame you when it doesn't work. And then the tabloid says, eat less and work out more. Nothing would piss me off more than in a women's health book than to read that. And trust me when I tell you, guys are worse. Women talk about it. Guys keep it in and work out harder and then hurt themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Go ahead, buddy.
So I want to get like some more. I could keep going for the next 24 hours. I love this stuff. This is gold to me. So I could keep going. I want to be respectful of everybody's time and give you an opportunity to sort of like talk about how can people do a deeper dive beyond just the book, right? How can people learn more about this or get, either one-on-one or group coaching or to become more proficient at this? Because there's so many different exercises and there's obviously different dysfunctions, different body types, and people are different levels along the spectrum in terms of age, fitness, and so forth. Like,
great question. And first, I'm going to give you on Instagram, it's at Egoscue Method, EGOSC Method, CUE Method. It's the Egoscue Method on Facebook. And then here's my, this will be under The Brian Bradley. And guys, I just want you to know that I only picked The Brian Bradley because Brian Bradley was already taken by the hockey player for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I'm really not that narcissistic. But you can see that for everybody on this call, I did a post about an old Rocky Balboa picture in a cheesesteak place in California. I had to do it. And it says Christmas. Do you guys remember when that was coming out? We're like, this is going to be so good. There's that. And then the Facebook is the same. It's under, I guess the same. It's The Brian Bradley or the Egoscue Method. I expect you to come in there with questions. Message me, stuff like that. I try to get to it as fast as possible. I think social media is an amazing, amazing platform for getting closer to your customer. I say I almost have 12,000 people, and I could probably tell you in 2 years, I probably know who all 12,000 are versus going, hey, let's build up your following, blah, blah, blah. No, I want quality people coming in that are there for a reason. And you know, Darren, you might have questions and say, okay, look, I do this push-up routine. What do you guys recommend? Look, I have a push-up routine that's a freaking game changer, like literal game changer. But it's the push-ups are 40% of it. The 60% is getting in and out of the position. And when we launched that in the NFL, we had people standing up going, oh, I have never felt this good in my life. And then they run a 40-yard dash and they're going, hey, you're running a 4.28. Wait a second, I've never been able to break 4.3. You did this time because you got your upper body out of the wrong position. So this is about next level performance. And if you're looking for something where you say, well, how do I work with you guys? We have digital stuff where you guys can take pictures of yourselves, front, back, left, and right. You can upload that. We'll get you a link where you can upload it, where you go in there. I think I just launched this at the UPW virtual. You could even go to egoscue.com/UPW virtual or something and upload them from there. I think that's still active. If not, you just get a hold of me and I'll get you the link from our corporate people where you take your photographs, upload them with a story. Here's what I want to improve upon. That's one way we could do one-on-one. You also have the book, every Amazon, $15 at your library, free. And then we also have the one-on-one Zoom coaching like this. So it just depends on how you want to learn and where your financial position is. Zoom coaching is 8 to 16 visits, one-on-one, an hour a piece. They're well worth it. If you're not a book person, if it's a financial position, go get the pain-free book. If let's say you don't want to spend another dollar because you're in dire straits. COVID's creating that for a lot of people, and I'm sorry about that. Go get the pain-free book at the library. I'll help walk you through it, and it's not a charge. It's our gift to you, but nobody ever does anything for free. So don't kid yourself. You're looking at the most selfish human on the planet. I want all of your friends eventually. And if that means we take care of you and create a raving fan, then somebody down the road is going to pay my electric bill. So I'm not worried about the money, guys. This is about creating the relationship and building it and building it and building it and building. That's how we got into the NFL, was off of a relationship with someone that had played in the NFL forever and then became the GM somewhere and realized this is what got me through with no head injuries, multiple head injuries, but no CTE, where I end up shooting myself in the chest because something's wrong. This is bigger than just going stand up straight. You can hear it in Carrie's voice. I want to continue running. I want to be active with Darren for the rest of my life. Well, start moving correctly by inputting some exercises that get you, even if it's the one where you stand pigeon-toed in between sitting too long like we did in the beginning. Okay? Anything else, Frank? Joel?
Does anybody have any questions? I saw there were a couple questions. I think one from Jason about shoulder pain, trying to avoid a shoulder replacement surgery. Could you speak to that for Jason?
Awesome question. I want you to put one hand like this, straight up and down, everybody. Put your left hand like this. And then bend it just a little bit. That's basically the garage. Did you guys lose me? Okay, there's the garage that the arm comes up and parks in. Okay, here's the hip. The hip is like this and parks like that. The shoulder is just a little less deep. It's very important when the arm moves that the shoulder blade moves with it. So for him to avoid a shoulder replacement, you've got to get your shoulder blade and your humerus and your clavicle to speak together as they form the shoulder joint. Because going in for the shoulder replacement doesn't solve the reason why you need to have it. The example I have, and who asked this question again?
Jason.
Jason, the one that was on here, right?
Yep.
Jason Carp. Yep.
Raise your hand again, Jason.
That's right. Let me go back to gallery view. I know where he is.
I'm right here. Whoop.
Gotcha, buddy. So if Jason says I'm going in for shoulder surgery, at least Carrie now could look at him and ask an intelligent question. Why not the other shoulder, Jason? What happened? And if he says, look, I fell out of a truck and I got hit, blah, 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 and you blew out your shoulder, I understand that's cumulative effect. We can still work with that. But if this is, I don't know what happened and my shoulder just became degenerative, then that's a problem. So
Yeah,
Jason,
I don't know how it happened. It was over the course of years, and I didn't do anything about it. I really thought it was psoriatic arthritis. I was convinced because a lot of my family had that. And about 5 years ago, I was playing soccer, playing goalie, which I played my whole life, and I realized I didn't have the range of motion that I once had with the other shoulder, and I couldn't throw a ball like I once could. And last year, it's become so painful. I went to orthopedic surgeon, and I just did an MRI recently, and basically he said down the road you probably have to get surgery. We got some cortisone shots this time.
Yep.
It's my third time. The third time because of the MRI, he was able to pinpoint where it was, and it's felt great for about a month, but it's starting to hurt again. So
what is it right now if you went to move the arm?
it's this one here, and I'm already feeling the pain going here, but I can get it. I can get up now, but I couldn't go up this high a month ago.
But you can feel it.
Oh yeah, I feel it.
Okay, so do me a favor. Come away from the back of your chair. So sit a little bit forward in your chair so your spine's not on the back of the chair.
Okay.
And I want you to kind of just sit down in like crappy posture, like just sit in a normal posture. And then move the arm. Just feel it.
Yep, I feel it.
Then, so your weight should be on your tailbone now at the top of your butt crack, right? I want you to use the muscles in the front of your hips where that psoas muscle that I was talking about. And I want you to roll your pelvis off your tailbone, get taller, so the weight is now up underneath your parts. So sit down again. Sit up. Hold that. Crank it in there, like really crank that hip forward like that. And now raise your arm up.
Better. Didn't feel the pain as much.
Okay. So that just tells me, from a testing standpoint, it verifies that the hip controls shoulder efficiency. But because your hip is so used to going another direction, your back rounds over, which then moves your shoulder blade to a position where it can't move. So you can have a shoulder replacement, but it's going to come back as something else sooner or later. A year later, you'll blow out your neck. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But I'm just telling you the horror stories that I hear. Like, when does it end that you keep chasing symptoms? So listen, you getting up and down in this position with a shoulder that doesn't work real well is going to be kind of painful. But if somebody on here said, I got to do it in my bed, I'm fine with that for about 30 days. Then you're going to have to test the floor out. And move your arm wherever you want it when you're down there, because it may get, when it's out here like this and palm up, you might go, oh man, my shoulder's really starting to bother me. So let's just play around with it. And where do you live?
Connecticut.
How close to Purchase, New York?
Oh, very close. About 30 minutes, not even.
You're as bad as Californians. We're like this, very close, only 3 hours and 20 minutes away.
30 minutes.
That actually is close in the New York stuff. But it's, I have a clinic on Westchester Avenue there.
Okay.
So
For Jason, just to clarify, it says he's 30 minutes away, right, Jason? So it's very close by. Purchase, New York.
yeah.
Awesome.
So if you want me, like, guys, if you're close enough to our clinic, my clinic owner over there and his staff, they're always willing to take a look. You know, you're not committing to anything until you're ready. And guys, that's not just about doing you a favor. It's doing us a favor. I can't have clients that don't commit to themselves. I really can't. It doesn't, and it's not judgmental. It's, you may not be ready. You may not be able to afford it, but everybody can afford this, and we can walk you through it if we had to. So you get a hold of me, via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And then I will get a hold of Greg and I'll get those guys and say, look, I'll make the introduction and you guys can meet. If you're not comfortable going somewhere in person, I can take a look at you over Skype or over Zoom, no problem.
I have no problem going to purchase.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question.
Brian, you mentioned before that you had a group program or training that people could participate. Is there a link for that, or was that the UPW one that you mentioned?
The one from UPW was for the digital. Like if you wanted to like take some pictures and send them in and stuff like that. Let me see, group training. I might have some group training on like Facebook.
So I've posted the resources that you've mentioned. So we've got your website on there, egoscue.com, including the UPW virtual link. You've got the Instagram and Facebook, both for you and for the Egoscue method. Is there any other website that I should post in the chat so that everybody has access to the full resources that you've mentioned?
I think we're good right now. As long as egoscue.com's in there, you have the Twitter, Facebook, I'm just trying to make it convenient for you guys. If you want to talk to somebody, we have, the phone numbers at the clinics, they're answering them. San Diego's not seeing clients in person in Del Mar, but we are seeing people via Zoom. I mean, literally 90% of my business has switched over, which luckily we had 15 to 20% going prior to COVID, and all we did was just switch it.
You also mentioned, for those of us living in the New York City area or in the 5 boroughs, that you have a clinic in Midtown Manhattan as well.
Yeah, I think it's on 39th and 5th or 6th, somewhere around there.
So right in the heart of Midtown.
There's an amazing bagel place like a half a block away that I'm in love with.
Really good bagels in Manhattan, for sure.
Unbelievable.
I used to go to H&H because they were open 24 hours. And you could go there at 2 a.m. after coming home from the bars and get a hot, piping, fresh bagel right out of the oven. It was amazing.
See, Frank, that's the difference between you and me is I never really went to the bars. I was a good kid.
I spent a lot of time in the bars.
No, I didn't.
And I no longer eat bagels because I'm gluten-free.
Well, guys, listen, it's looking even at that kind of stuff, and you're looking at, I do have another book just to show you. This guy, You Can Fix Your Brain by Tom O'Brien.
Yay. So you
Great.
should know who he is, Frank, because he is the gluten-free king. And I have my gluten practitioner certification through him. He's awesome.
That's a good one for me. Thank you.
But again, just my belief. What if you healed your gut from the inside out? Could you go back on gluten and not have it be an irritant?
Possibly.
Possibly. So I have celiac disease. So I've got the most severe version of it. And I'm not sure if, based on what I know about gluten and wheat and so forth, that I would ever be interested in going back to it. But it would be interesting to know that I could if I wanted to, put it that way. Yeah,
Let's say we had to, we're out somewhere and you got to eat something and all I have, and we're like, bro, you got to eat this cracker. And you're like, I don't want to eat that cracker. Okay. But because it would honestly impair you hardcore. But if we got you to a point where you're healing the gut from the inside out, which is what Tom talks about with micro tears of the intestine, I believe, honestly, guys, there's so much inflammatory stuff where that people say, I'm a vegetarian and I'm allergic to cauliflower and broccoli. And I said, really? Okay, great. What if the micro tears in your intestine have become so reactive as it relates to the broccoli or whatever entering the bloodstream too early, and now your body then sends the antibodies in to try to heal this, but leaves collateral damage. So when that leaves, here come more to fix the collateral damage, and now you've created this autoimmune disorder. So we got to talk cause. And you're talking to a dude who, if it's the right stromboli, I'm eating the whole thing, bro. Right? That's it. But it'd be nice if, I used to be that way with milk products, big time. You did not want to be around me within a 3-mile radius if I had an ice cream cone. Okay?
Me too.
I tell you, the bulletproof coffee and the little bit of raw organic honey that I put in there, the MCT oil, the collagen protein. I also take a line of supplements from this doctor up in San Francisco called Micro Daily. Flat out game changers. These guys are, I'm only telling you this because they're not into multi-level marketing, which would have driven me crazy. No offense against that either. I'm just not into it because of having been attacked by it many times because of my mailing list. But this little bottle of Micro Daily and Brain Boost from these guys, they have an EMF 5G now that they put out that they've patented to battle 5G symptoms from the inside out.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. The guy's 85, Indian doctor, worked with NASA, worked with the Army, built the military formulas, and then he opened up his own business to try to get this kind of stuff out. He ran into the right CEO. And you want information on that, just, I can get you in touch with the doctor or whatever. He's one of these guys being 85. He looks like he's 50, and his discussions are amazing.
So I'm going to acknowledge the time here. So we're approaching 9:15, and also all the notes from this, if you go to nypt.info/strong notes, I just uploaded them online. So if you go to nypt.info, it works right now. Strong notes, one word. I mean, two words, but connected as one. You can access all the notes here. So everyone watching the live stream, you can access it there. So I know we're closing out. Any final words you want to say, Brian? Anything else you want to mention to our audience as they're watching or remotely the replay?
We only have about 45 minutes left.
Exactly. Well, let's see about 5 minutes left. Let's see 9:20 Eastern. So that would be 6:20 Pacific.
Anybody who had questions that we didn't get to, or you have specific things about you or people around you, because that's what happens during these is people go, my friend Lisa has this, or my dad needs this. You are not bothering me by contacting us. You're bothering me by not contacting us. I'm telling you right now, the method is born out of sharing information. That's why, I keep all these books around, and, I keep these pictures around for before and afters for you guys to go, this is no BS that we're talking about here. No BS. And I love the participation, Darren and Carrie and everybody else. And congratulations on their wedding, by the way, right? But we want to give them especially a chance to be able to honeymoon the way they want, get on jet skis, go for a run. Let's say they go to Kauai and she can't hike the Nepali coast or something. What kind of, sorry, Darren, you're going to Hawaii on your honeymoon. I'm so sorry. So just, it's worth getting your body out of its own way. Mm-hmm. I can speak to that, having raced downhill mountain bikes for years and literally hit a tree at 60 miles an hour, cartwheeled down a ravine, 2 ACL reconstructions, blood clot, broke my fibula, tore my labrum in my hip, fractured my transverse process, separated this shoulder, dislocated this shoulder. And having done all that injury, you guys will go on my Instagram or on Master Co. You guys know Master Co.
Yeah, I love Master
Co. Go on to Master Co's Facebook page or his Instagram and watch me kick his ass in ping pong.
What?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. No, we play pretty even, which is good because we go there and we play for 3 hours, no joke. You're literally drenched. You're wringing your shirt out.
Of course.
And he's such a good dude. First time I played him, and I'll let you guys go. First time I ever played him, I was beating him 2-0. And then he came back 2-1, and he was losing the third, and it's only best of 5. And he stopped, and he did this. He did this Mr. Miyagi thing, and I know it's from different countries, so I don't want to hear anything about that. I get it.
Pranic healing. It's prana.
And he starts, his eyes roll back. He starts floating in the air, all that shit that he does. And he won 3-2 in the fifth.
Wow.
He won 11-9 or 11-8 in the fifth game. After I was looking at him like, don't try to mine. No, you're not going to get to me, bro. Meanwhile, when you say you're not going to get to me, he's already gotten to me. Good dude.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Brian. Fantastic. Very interactive, all of this. So everyone who got to participate on Zoom, we're very blessed. Of course, access Brian. So we put the links to this here already. So if you go to the Brian Bradley on Instagram, thebrian.bradley on Facebook, and the notes.
Get rid of the dot. Just the
Okay.
Brian on all
Okay.
of it.
Got it. Okay, the Brian Bradley. Got it. So we'll fix it up. And the notes for this entire event, if you go to nypt.info/strong notes, you'll access all the notes, or you'll see that right away. It works right now.
And I will tell you, and Frank, real quick, if you guys want more access to this and you want your, once COVID opens, and let's say you guys did a thing in person, once you guys build a relationship with my New York teams, it'll be easy for me to get them over there to do something with you.
Great.
And maybe we can even do a future group trip for the people who are hardcore and want to, go to either the New York or the Westchester location, have like a group session where we all go out.
Why wouldn't you do that during the summer? And those of you that are in the city say, okay, on Sunday, you can put it together. I'll get somebody from the New York City clinic or the Westchester clinic. They'll meet you somewhere outside. They can do a group thing. And then we talk about that deliberate walking or running.
Like Central Park.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll social media this shit.
Awesome. Well, we can certainly make it happen.
Thank you, Brian, so much for your wisdom, your generosity with your time and knowledge, and for coming on and being here for all of our audience, both live streaming and on Facebook, and people watching also on the recording. As Joseph mentioned, everything is on nypt.info. And remember, lower right corner right now, we're up to the minute, even with Master Co's website on there for people who are interested in that. I know Darren on here is an expert with Master Co's information and has been studying chronic healing for many years. So we have a lot of local expertise on a lot of this stuff in our community. And Brian, this was fantastic. I wish we could go another 24 hours. I'd love to continue doing a deep dive, and hope we can build that relationship in that live event. That would be great.
Look, it's that's my view, right? So we're still at daytime out here. You guys are shutting it down. We're just getting started.
Love it. Awesome. Well, for everyone watching this virtually and so forth, you don't want to go to life with back pain, any issues at all. It's like, work on this now. It's basic posture exercises each day. Even, I'm sure, putting a pillow. I used to put a pillow under my feet. That's one basic step when I went to sleep. And just 10 minutes, 5 minutes during daytime. It doesn't make much of an investment at all. Just do it, make it happen. And you can go into, 90s, 100s and beyond, feeling great, feeling amazing. So certainly tap into Egoscue. Their process is tested. It's been out for 30 years. It's tested over and over again. And Brian is accessible too as well. So thank you, Brian.
You guys are welcome. And listen, I think you guys need to give everybody who participated question-wise, or even on here, especially people like Michael and Kerry and everybody else who came in here. And I know Darren, he let me throw them around on the ground a little bit. So I really appreciate you guys, because those visuals are already, they're massive for other people to watch and learn from. That's why I kind of have to read the audience, to see who can handle a little bit of joking around and stuff like that. And hopefully I didn't get that wrong, and Darren's going to kick my butt the next time.
I love ping pong, man. I'm gonna play you some ping pong.
He's coming after you for ping pong.
You can come after me ping pong. I'll play left-handed, but I play table tennis.
Okay, yes, games to 11. Okay, well, I play 2. 5 games, best out of 5 to 11. Okay, go ahead.
I got it, but I'm going to listen. I'm going to go. How many points do you want?
I want 9 points.
I've done it. I've literally given 9 and won 11-9. Plan on that.
Awesome. Well, how about a big 11? How about a big 1, 2, 3 you rock for Brian, for Darren, Kerry, Michael, and Jason, and everyone who participated on this event. You guys are awesome. I'm going to unmute you all, so everyone is unmuted. You have your choice also to unmute yourself on your end too. So on a count of 3, a 1, a 2, 3.
You rock.
Awesome.
You rock.
Thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much, Brian. Really appreciate it.
Awesome
Thank
stuff.
you. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. And once again, nypt.info/strong notes. Access the notes of this easily. It's available now. Have a good night, everyone. Enjoy your day. Thanks again, Brian.
Good night. Thank
Thanks
you.
very much.
Bye, everybody.
Joseph, I have one question. Is this going to be, we're going to have a replay of this?
It's on Facebook, and the replay will be emailed tomorrow as well, also to our list. So if you want to sign up to our list, nypt.info. Thank you all. Have a blessed, fantastic day. Really appreciate you all being here. Rock it out.